Greetings to all. This is God's Beauty Official, and I welcome you to this channel. Today's message is based on personal experience, and through the experience, I received a revelation. As we all know, everybody has what they aspire to be according to how God created them, their passions, what they love, and all that, right? In regards to that in my life, there's this show, right, that I would watch because it inspired me so much, and it just, I watched this show. I watched this show and I watched the type of people that were in this show. And it's a competition, mind you. So they are competing for a title. And everyone's sharing the same dreams, sharing the same, goal to win this competition, yet different backgrounds and stuff. And I'm looking at everyone. I notice someone, and listen carefully, I notice this beautiful lady. When I saw her, in my heart, something in me just didn't agree with the fact that she was supposed to be on the side of competition. I could see even through her face that this person she's fit to basically be their judge by the looks of it. I could just see that no, man, this person doesn't look like she is the odd one out. She looks like she is in the wrong place. Like she's not supposed to be competing. She is supposed to be a judge. She looked like the judge. If anybody had to tell me that was the judge and she had to act as a judge, she fits. Like she looked so established in that field that I even questioned myself. Like she doesn't even need to be in this competition with what I'm seeing. This person has so much in her, right? And guess what? Fast forward, she at the end of the day was in the semi-finals, meaning that she was one step closer to winning, and they had to choose a winner between 3 people, and she was amongst those people. So there was one winner. And one thing about this particular competition is she didn't win not because she was not unique, not because she was not gifted in this area, not because she lacked. She didn't win because the winner, was more of, when you sing, let's just say the winner that won because of the category that they were singing in. That category fits so many people. And it's beautiful, right? I was also so happy that person won because I know they deserve it. Now I could never forget her, had a specific target audience. And that's what kind of limited her, that she stuck to that specific target audience. It's just like someone who just sings classic, who just sings with the classic voice and doesn't play with their voice. And the winner was the one that played with their voice, that was even entering different types of music and all that. So she excelled in that area so much that if there's anybody who loved, classic in this case, they were going to be mad that she was not the winner type of thing, because she was mad skilled, right? And even now, I just hope that she has her own establishment and she realizes that in all actuality, she never needed no competition because she was in her own lane already. People are not going to see what is in her unless she shows them what she is capable of. And it goes back to the fact that, man, I did say that she's just her own being, she's just too unique to even be in a competition, because what she had to offer, nobody ever offered it the way she did. At all. Nobody offered her talent the way she did. Nobody did what she did, right? And this comes back to my topic for today. Know who you are. Know who you are in God. Know who you are in God. So a lot of us, you may have realized that from the very beginning, right, when we didn't know better, we used to get into these competitions, whatnot. And I know that, certain fields or certain sports or certain areas in life, there is competition, just like in business, there is competition. But what I am trying to focus on is, you may have realized that when you were younger, it was a lot of the times we always wanted to highlight who was best at what, And one thing I can share with you is that the worst thing you can think about competitions is who is better than the other, instead of thinking of it in a way that who has so much skill or so much knowledge about a particular thing that everyone else can learn so much from, right? That's why they win. That's why they're the winner. That's why they're good at what they do. Why? Because they have acquired so much. Even through the process of the competition, they have just been absorbing like a sponge. All the more that anyone can be someone to learn from them, right? That's how we should be looking at competition, not in a shoulder rub versus type of thing. No, that's why even in sports, a lot of the times you will get to see in karate before anyone, even in other sports, okay, I'm just using karate as an example for now, before they start to fight, they respect one another, they do a head gesture to show that. Even at the end of their fight, they do the same thing to show that it is not to be taken seriously. It is just a sport, It is just to see who has accumulated so much more skill, so much more experience than the other, to be regarded as a winner or to be regarded as a title winner, right? And then I got to think, so that's one thing about competition, right? That's how you need to look at competition. It's not a shoulder rub, eye for another eye or anything like that. It's not supposed to get messy. You learn from the one that has acquired the most. That's why the best masters are often students. The best teachers are often the most humble students, the students at heart, the ones that are constantly learning. You would overlook to think that they could actually be the teacher. Those are the ones that humbled themselves enough to understand that you accumulate so much that you now are at a place that you can reteach this thing. That's what you regard as the best person in a particular thing, right? Even when it comes to skills, sometimes it's like, whoa, this person brings new ideas. Whoa, this person brings all that. It stems from creativity too. The most creative at this, sometimes competition also has to do with the giftings that God has given you. Yours surpasses all other, showing people that this is what they want. So what I'm trying to say is, how many times do we get into places where we try to validate ourselves through a particular competition, trying to be the best in a particular sense, that God enabled rejection in those areas because he was redirecting you to get that validation from him. Especially when it comes to beauty standards and pageant standards, right? All that. How many times did you get rejected? And it could be anything else where you probably felt like you were competing, right? You probably felt like you were not good enough. Everyone else went on, but you didn't. Everyone else was qualified, but for some reason, you were not. What I'm trying to emphasize is, how many times have we gotten ourselves in a situation where we were trying to validate ourselves with what someone else would approve of us? Because one thing I know is that in that case, if the judges in that setting, or if the decision, the power that we have given this particular head would reject you, it will crumble you. How many times have we hurt ourselves by basing our values on people who know nothing about us but what they get to see us present? How many times? And the biggest question here, that is the most important in this message, is, how many times do we get ourselves in a place where We think we need some type of validation for what God has given us the power to dominate over. You go to a competition all the more to not understand that God's purpose over your life is not to compete, but to be the boss, to be your own brand as a person without competition. Because truth be it, every child of God is made with that stamp. The stamp of unique, this is from God. The stamp of made from God. The stamp of excellence in the things that God has called you to do. Meaning that He's not calling you to compete with the world, with anyone, to validate that stamp. Why? Because the validation that you need is not from man, but from Him. And if He has validated you, He will train you to be excellent. Excellence takes time. I want everyone to look at competition in the right way that God wants you to look at it. That the next time you ever get into a competition, it is to enhance your experiences as an individual and to be there, not to look at yourself to be more better than the other or more better than the next person, but to stand out and make sure you make a mark whether or not you win. Stand out. Be unforgettable. It's not about winning at this point. It's about who God says you are. I always thought that we all needed to fit in. And if you're not fitting in, there's something wrong. Well, there was a whole lot of wrong things about me then. Because I tried and I couldn't. It always stuck out like a sore thumb. And this is an example to show you that where you don't necessarily fit in, even in regards to that, it could mean something else. It's not because you lack, but because you are more than in a different way. And I'm not here to boost your egos, thinking that when you're wrong is right and all that. No. Sometimes God is showing you the place you are at could mean that you are settling for less than He knows you can be. All those past opportunities, they were not for you. Yes, you may have missed it because of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But do you think that God would have made you miss it if it was actually for you? I don't think so. But there are certain places that God will actually show you that these are for you. Even in personal matters or the personal life. A lot of people grew up being the scapegoat. A lot of people grew up being the odd one out. Some people grew up being the one less preferred, David in this situation. Some grew up being the one that was not so pretty, Leah in this case. But if we base our value on our surroundings, especially, I don't know, but I feel strongly when it comes to beauty standards. If we're trying to run after every beauty standard that is out there, that determines us, that defines that a person is beautiful or a lady is beautiful with this, without this, going according to the beauty standards of this world. Let me tell you something, this world is not even guaranteed itself that it knows what beauty is. So you better go to the Creator that is beauty Himself to tell you what and who is beauty. It varies. It doesn't come in one way. The differences is what makes it beautiful. The varieties is what makes it beautiful. You get what I'm saying? And beautiful in your own way. What I'm saying is that some of you have been all along chasing for this validation, chasing to be the one, chasing to be the best, not knowing that God has set you apart to be all that in the lane that you are originally supposed to be on, in a lane that nobody but you is on. Chasing after a crown, not understanding that you already have a crown. You just need to grow into it. That's why we are set apart. And in conclusion to what I'm saying is, we should know who we are in God. Because sometimes we will be going through a process only to miss something we would have learned earlier, that we are meant to be kings and queens in a particular field with no competition, that you're made to be your own boss without anyone's validation but the knowledge of the Most High. That's why we need God, y'all, because God will reveal things about you that you don't even know about yourself. Look at David. Out of all people, out of all his siblings, they probably looked at him like, David, a king? Man, he's always with the sheep. What's that? Make that make sense, you know? But God's ways are not like man's. God sees beyond what men see. That's why even people who criticize you for what God has given you don't know the half of it. Especially if God approves it. They don't know the half of it. They see it with the carnal eyes, they don't understand it with the means of the Spirit. Just like David, just like Leah. They saw her for how she looked, which was not as pleasing as anyone would look at Rachel. But it didn't disqualify the fact that God has chosen her to bear further the lineage of Christ Jesus, and not Rachel. So never compete. You are worthy. You are every single thing that God calls you, and it's all things good. Why compete with the means of this world if what you have is not of this world? You don't have to know through men that you are the best to know that you are the best. And it always comes back to how you define things. From now on, don't define best as the overall better one, but define best as the overall inspirational one, the overall suited one for a particular position, the one that overall meets a particular means in this business, meets a particular means in the school, overall person who meets the particular means. Those means don't have to be perfect in order for the so-called best candidate to be the best in the ways of the world. No, those means and the needs just need someone to complement them. And just because you're rejected in that job offer, it doesn't make you any less of a person. It doesn't mean that you didn't have the qualifications, or you didn't have, sometimes, okay, maybe you didn't. But that just goes on to show that with what you have now at that time, there's somewhere else that will just accept you. Or maybe it's a call for you to grow that strength, to learn from the best. And the best as in those that have had experience, those that have accumulated so much knowledge, those to learn. And that you should stop letting people define you. Competition should be learning what makes the other one better. Learn. The biggest master in the room of a particular thing is the one that has learned the most. Let's go back to the main thing. Some of you have been in particular places where you were not accepted. And this could be friend groups. Sometimes you are the odd one out there. In places, the odd one out there. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. It only means that there's something in you that only a particular place can hold. And sometimes it's just a stamp from heaven that you're just the visitor here. Okay? And sometimes when you are rejected in places, rejected in, especially when you get into like jobs, right? A job and someone just, sometimes it's just a call for us to wake up and realize that in the place that we were trying to work for others, He has all this while made you someone to be worked for.